Oh, let's break it. Hey!
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another exciting episode of Let's Break It Down, an Overwatch League podcast. We're bringing you the latest and greatest in Overwatch League news, plays, scores, and analysis every week. Back from the break, ready to have some fun and talk about some news. This week's episode is not brought to you by the Overwatch League Stats tab, because it doesn't exist. And we only work with sponsors that exist. So Blizzard, get on that shit.
For reals already.
My name is Amicus, joined as always by my buddy Riggs. What's going on, buddy?
What's going on, everybody? How you doing, buddy?
So yeah, man, gotta shake off the rust. Got like a week's break and I don't know what to do with myself.
Yeah. Sorry about the break, everybody. You know,
the players get a break. We should get a break, right?
Yeah, we just decided to get a little more collected, collect a little more news. I'm kind of glad we waited because some interesting stuff's come up.
It feels like not a lot happened last week and more stuff happened this week.
Yeah, so I'm kind of glad we held it back a week. We'll get to talk about more stuff than we originally planned. So I'm kind of excited about tonight's episode just because, dude, so many cool things to talk about.
But yeah, what have you been up to, man? How's the week been treating you?
Working a lot. Finally had my fair share of asshole Walmart customers. Finally been, I guess, baptized into that pool.
Baptism of fire, as they call it.
Yeah, dude. Almost lost my job over PlayStation controller. That was good times.
Excellent.
But luckily, I had a bunch of customers around me defend me and get me out of trouble, so that was cool. But other than that, really just kind of been grinding out Sea of Thieves. I got a content patch coming up here in a couple weeks. So, kind of just been trying to get that Pirate Legend, pushing that really hard, getting pretty close. Met some good new friends in there. So kind of building a regular crew to play with some others off friends, so it's been working out pretty good. I mean, having some fun. Been playing Overwatch, trying out the new patch stuff, which we're going to talk about in a little bit.
Hell yeah, man. You excited for the anniversary event?
Oh, hell yeah, dude. Can't wait. I've been waiting to get that Diva, the cruiser one, Cadillac looking.
It's pretty
mech.
Sick. I like the Black Cat skin as well. That one's really good. For sure. I have not played too many games this week. I just spent the last couple of days at home seeing my mom for Mother's Day, which was nice. Hot as hell down there in North Carolina. It was like 95 degrees the whole time. But I did get a chance to go see Infinity War finally, which was phenomenal. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I did see it.
Yeah. So for those of you that haven't seen it, great action from start to finish. Really felt like a huge payoff after the last 10 years of Marvel movies and all the investment that we put in. I will gently remind people that it is a part one of a two-parter. So many people are getting so upset about, let's just call it the overall tone of the film.
I was going to say the final outcome.
Well, I was just going to say the tone. I wasn't even going to say final outcome, but it's two parts, people, two parts. But
and people need to realize that the bad guys have to win one of those two-parters to make it interesting.
Yeah.
So the good guys can make an epic comeback. So please bear with them. It's going to be awesome.
But yeah, phenomenal job on the film. And other than that, I've been really enjoying the League of Legends mid-season invitational. Some really, really good games there. And it's kind of nice timing because we have like a nice little 1 week break from Overwatch League. So esports never sleeps, as they like to say.
And I heard League of Legends has got a new support character coming out. That sounds pretty interesting. I guess he's like a void.
Yeah, he's like a
kind of cool.
He's like a ghost pirate kind of a thing. It's really weird though because they're saying he's a support, but he just supports by killing everyone. And I'm like, well, that sounds like my job as a jungler. I don't know how you're going to keep somebody alive by killing everybody. I mean, okay, in theory, that sounds like it'll work, but I have my doubts. But anyways, this is certainly not a League of Legends podcast. Otherwise, I'd just be talking your ear off for 2 hours. So given that we are now a week, 2 weeks out from the last week, we'll just kind of blaze through these games real quick. Philly taking a 3-1 over the Dallas Fuel. No surprises there. I think Philly continues to look strong when they play
and
their aggressive style. If a team can
Dallas
slow them down,
continues. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
if a
Sorry.
team can slow Philly down like we saw Seoul do when they played them, then it kind of becomes an Achilles heel for them. But certainly the Dallas Fuel can't do that, at least not right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say they continue to be a dying fish, like.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're absolutely right. It's all about throwing off Philly's tempo, and if you can't do that, you're not gonna stand a chance. They're just gonna dominate you
Yep.
the entire game. So it's exactly what happened. I mean, hats off, I guess, for Dallas getting a map. That probably wasn't part of Philly's game plan, but
I mean, it's almost like Shanghai, right? They have to get like their one pity map every week. I don't know. We'll see if they can do something in stage 4, but at least for the past couple of weeks, they've kept a consistent roster. So if they can keep it consistent and kind of build off that consistent roster every week, maybe we can see them start to pick up another couple of wins, if for no other reason than to fight for kind of their pride in stage 4 and, kind of a good mental to rebuild on next season.
yeah, definitely. I mean, the next game, I kind of feel the same way about the Mayhem in this particular one. They got their tie against the Gladiators, closing out that game 0-3. Still no win, but granted, they had a kind of rough schedule this week, playing two teams that were desperately trying to get into those end of stage playoffs. So
Yeah.
kind of rough fight for them. I do like the fact that I continue to see synergy building between their new players, and Awesome Guy and Saya Player.
It seems like it's been a pretty easy fit, like a pretty easy shakeup for them. And I don't know if maybe that's because they needed kind of a shot in the arm so badly, but it feels like Saya Player and Awesome Guy have just really kind of slid right in there like they were there all along.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm liking it, and I think that in stage 4, they're definitely going to be a lot more glued together, a team. Another thing to consider in this one, Mineral was taking the week off, so
Right,
kind of
yeah.
rough when your head coach is taking it off. And I know Ryder is an amazing coach, but I know there's also been some communication. I don't want to say like problems, complications, I guess is a better word. Because granted, Ryder speaks English, but he doesn't speak great English. So,
Right.
some of his strategies and stuff have been, I guess, kind of difficult for him to, translate over and explain to the guys. So that was a rough week for Florida, but what are you gonna do? It is what it is.
Yep. And moving right along, heartbreaking loss for Houston to the San Francisco Shock. I can't remember what I predicted coming out of this match. I think I might have predicted Houston taking the win, but Houston's just looked so inconsistent this entire stage.
No, we both said that it was going to be a 5-game thing, but we did say it was going to be Houston over Shock. Shock would fight really hard for that end of stage final spot. But
and I mean, Shock clearly honestly had a good week.
This was the game that kind of surprised me in day one. Like I really didn't see the Shock coming out on top. They pulled their shit together. They got a win over a really tough team. I mean, I still count. I don't care what the fucking stats say, man. I still count Outlaws as one of the best teams in the league,
Yeah, and it just seems like they keep coming really close and really fighting for these like hard fought kind of coin flip losses, and then they just kind of fall short. And I know Linkser in particular has been taking it really hard. He's just been talking about how he feels kind of lost, like he's kind of losing his confidence in himself. Kind of echoes a lot of how I feel Taimu's been talking. So hopefully Linkser can kind of get his groove back. Stage 4 is a fresh stage, fresh patch. So we'll see what they can do.
Yeah, and they had the week off. Maybe that's just what he needed. It worked for Pine. At the end of the last stage, he needed that little break. I think a lot of these players really just need that break. They got to work in more than just that week off. They need to give them an extended break somewhere during the season. I think this really needs to be worked in before season 2 starts because the mental wear and tear on these players is a lot more than I think anybody expected.
Well,
Yeah.
and do you think it would be more beneficial? Like, let's say hypothetically we got rid of the 1 week break after every stage, and instead, in the middle of the season, either after stage 2 or stage 3, we had like a 3 week break. So you don't have any stage breaks, but then you have like a halftime break. Do you think that would be a better way to go?
It might actually. I mean, it kind of would give them a chance to regroup a little bit. I know that right now the big thing with the breaks is like giving them that chance to transition to the next patch because some characters are getting buffed, some are getting nerfed, some are just being added all together.
Mm-hmm.
So, we've seen Moira get added in stage 2. We're going to see Brigida get added in stage 4.
Because
Um,
what I will
you know,
say is when you look at other when you look at other esports, particularly League of Legends or CSGO, when they do things like ESL Pro League and whatnot, you don't really have substitutions the same way you do in Overwatch League. You tend to have the same roster, the same 5 or 6 guys in every single match. And they're playing just as much, if not more, but they're also dealing with a lot more frequent patch updates. So usually it's every 2 weeks instead of every 5 weeks. And those guys, it's probably not great for them. I'm sure it's very hard for them as well, but they seem to be able to kind of rise to the challenge. So I almost wonder if there's something about the time that Overwatch League plays or the skills required or kind of what is that difference that makes it so much harder for these guys. Or maybe they're just not used to it. Maybe it's, for a lot of these guys, it's their first year as kind of playing as pros for an extended period of time, and maybe they just have to get
well,
used to it.
yeah, and I honestly think that's what it is. I mean, you look at these guys, and yeah, they played together, they play comp throughout the year or whatever, and then they would play contenders or Apex or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
but those were very short periods of time where they actually had to get together, on a stage, play in front of people. They were tournaments. They're not extended seasons of shit, really. I mean, this is the first time where they're being sat down. They're saying, for the next 6 months, every week, you're going to get up on stage and professionally play Overwatch.
I
You
mean,
know,
for Overwatch, sure, but you look at like League of Legends or StarCraft, certain CS:GO
well, no, no, no. What I'm
organizations.
saying is, like, I don't think these players are conditioned for it yet. I don't think they
Right,
had any
right,
idea
okay,
what they were into. The League of Legends one, that's been a league that's been going for years now. Those players getting into it, they kind of know what to expect. They've seen what
okay.
other players
That
are
that
doing.
that's fair.
There
Yeah.
was precedent set. I think it's just really caught the entire league off guard as far as Overwatch goes, that like it was going to take this toll on the players. I think maybe you're onto something with the 3 week break, and instead of a break during each stage, just throw them into the next stage. Don't even count them as fucking stages. If you really want to get down to it, just make it the first half of the season, second half of the season, and end this half finals at those, or whatever. But yeah, I think you might be onto something with the 3 week break. They should be able to, adjust to those patches on the fly. Like you said, that's what professionals do. You know, you look at professional football players and stuff, they have to adjust their game plan in the middle of the play
Yeah.
because things change that quickly. So that's what you expect from professional players. That's what you
Yeah.
expect. I would expect these guys to be able to make those adjustments quickly. So yeah, given a 3 week break in the middle, that's time off to go see your families. You can travel back home. You don't got to
Especially for
worry
these
about
international players.
international flights and all that. Take time. You got
Yeah.
plenty of time to do it. Get back, practice with your team a little bit, catch up on the new patch, get back into the swing of things, and get started on the second half. I think that'd be a good way to go.
Yep, for sure. Well, we'll table this for now, and we'll talk about this a little bit more when we get to
Yeah,
the
definitely.
stage 4 discussion. But moving right along with the games, we got San Francisco taking a 4-0 over Florida. I mean, San Francisco's looking good this week. They came out with a 2-0. Definitely a strong finish to the stage.
Yeah, they definitely had it together. It seems like Architect and Moth and even Sinatra are finally starting to find their niche with Shock. Um,
Yep, for sure.
honestly, think they might be doing better with Baby Bay in certain situations, but I mean, hey, they're winning right now, so like
Yeah,
they really can't complain, right?
hopefully they can keep it going for stage 4. And then we got Boston taking the 3-2 over LAV rather. Um, Set them up pretty good for the stage playoffs.
The only thing that really shocked me here was that LAV took 2 points off of Boston.
Yeah,
Like, I mean, Boston's been so damn strong this stage. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
We'll talk
But
about
I
that in a
mean,
minute, but
they were a playoff team for a reason, so definitely a good showing. And then NYXL 4-0 over Dallas Fuel, obvious. I mean,
yeah.
we both called that, so no big surprise there. Um, all right, then we got 3-1 Boston over LAG, pretty much same story. Um, Another playoff team. A little bit back and forth, but I think Boston had it in hand the whole time. NYXL taking a 3-1 over Shanghai. Expected result, but I actually kind of want to commend Shanghai because I feel like they put up a pretty good fight. The scoreline doesn't necessarily reflect it, but they were really damn close to taking this to a map 5, and Shanghai actually got my play of the week from this match. So even though they lost, and even though it wasn't a 3-2 loss, I still think they did a pretty good job against the top team in the league.
Yeah, and I mean, you got to really hand it to Shanghai. 'Cause if you notice where they really take their maps, they take their maps from teams like New York, London, Boston. It's these big, tough teams, and then they go up against crappy teams and they get full road.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm glad that they're taking maps from these tough teams. Hopefully, they'll be able to pull it together somewhere in stage 4 and get a freaking win already. But I just don't know anymore. I was happy with some clutch plays by Gaguri this week. She really bailed her team out of some tough situations where they had nobody on the payload and everybody was dead, and she just held out.
She
You
really
know,
seems to
fought
be
to team
like
time.
the queen at stalling out points.
Hell yeah,
Like
I'm really
anytime their
impressed with.
backs are against the wall, if Geggery's on the point, she's going to waste at least another 20 to 30 seconds of the enemy team's time.
And if nothing else, she's going to buy enough time for her team to get back
Yeah.
and put up some kind of defense. It might not be a great one, but they're going to put up something. You
I
know,
just can't wait to see
so,
her on the Zarya. She's going
yeah.
to completely own on that champion.
Like hats off to Gaguri this week. You played a hell of a couple games. I mean,
Yep.
I think they're close. I really do think that they're close.
There's no way they're going to go 0-40.
I don't think they will. Yeah, I think they'll definitely. I think they're gonna end with 2-38.
Okay. I think that sounds pretty. I can buy that. We got London taking the 3-2 over Seoul. Oh, poor Seoul. How the mighty have fallen. Although they are still ranked 4th overall. So losing that Battle of the Koreans.
Ryu J Kong. That's all I gotta say, man. Dude, watch this game. This was so awesome watching Ryu.
Why? Okay. Now I admittedly I
that was
missed
so
this
cool.
game.
It was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. I mean, you watch this guy just wreak havoc on Zenyatta. You know what he could do on PC. You know he's this amazing support character. You've watched him play other characters throughout the season. He's pulled out Maze and all kinds of weird stuff. And then just to see him go ahead, take the main tank role and just steamroll with it. It was insane. He actually was opening up stuff for Fleta, which I really think has been Soul's like Achilles heel, is that Fleta has been so goddamn stymied like the last couple stages, really.
Yeah.
People have been able to close out his space, not let him operate, keep him kind of pinned down so that he can't do his thing. But Jaehong was opening that space finally. Fleta was able to shine in ways we haven't seen since stage 1. So it was a really fun game to watch, and it was really close. They almost had this one.
Yep. Now I admittedly I didn't catch this match. Why was Jaehong tanking?
I don't even remember why. I think I think they're just really kind of. If I remember correctly in the commentary, they were stating that Seoul was trying to discover if tanking was really the issue that they were having. Jaehong, I guess, is like a libero to Vic Fleta kind of person, can play a lot of characters. So he stepped into the role. They did have Gambler now as another
Hmm.
support player. So I think that they thought, okay, with Gambler on the lineup, support's covered. We can let Jaehong, tank and just see how it goes. And it actually worked out really good. I
Hmm.
think we may actually see a lot more of this heading into the future.
I mean, if nothing else, it's nice to have that flexibility, right?
Serious. It just shows like how crazy flexible Soul really is. That every character on their lineup can pretty much play anything.
Yeah.
So, I mean, God only knows what they're going to throw at you, what kind of composition. Just because you see that player's name does not mean that they're going to play the role you assume they're going to play.
Right. And it's I can't help but think it's great to have all your players as jacks of all trades, but you've got to have them excel in their main role if you want to take top of the table. So it's
Well,
great to have this super flexible team, but if it doesn't get you past fourth place, it's kind of all for naught.
yeah, and I mean, it's without question that Jae Hong is one of the best support players in the world. I mean, he's probably second to like Jonak and maybe Bedosin, on Zen. I'd actually probably say he's a little better than Bedosin. I think Bedosin kind of he's got a lot of talk, not as much bite as Jae Hong does. So, um, but yeah, Jonak is kind of unmatched. He's in the like oh my
Jo-
goodness,
Jonak is not a support. Jonak is God.
yeah, he's out
Jonak
there
is love. Jonak is
his
life.
own world of Zen play, but yeah, Jae Hong is probably the next best thing to Jonak, and like. Yeah, dude, he's a great player, and he showed it this week.
I just want to see like a Jae Hong, Jonak, Zenyatta 1-on-1.
That would be interesting. That'd definitely be
Maybe at like
interesting.
All Stars, then they'll do like a
But
1-on-1
I
tournament.
think in order to make it a fair fight with Jonak, you have to throw him into the sniper fight with like all the widows because he's just he's that dude. He's the guy sniping you from a million miles away.
Have like a free for all with every widow in the league and Jonak
And
on
then
Zenyatta.
Jonak, yeah. Just do
Yeah,
all the
there.
widows,
Okay.
all the best widows, and Jonak.
I'm
And
hang on. I'm texting Nate Nanzer right now. Hang on. All right. Anyways, we gotta keep going. London 3-1 over Shanghai. Again, they keep taking these singular maps off these good teams, but they're just not even really taking things to a fifth map. So I think that's kind of the next step for them is get things to a fifth map, get them to match point, and then you can start saying like, hey, we're real close to pushing over that edge.
Yeah, and I think you're right. Like their first win's going to come from a 5 map series. It's not going to be a 4-0. It's not going to be a 3-1.
That would
It'll
be
be a
crazy
3-2.
though.
I really think it'll be a 3-2. They need to just, like you said, focus on getting that fifth map going. Get that
Yep.
momentum right to the
Baby
end.
steps.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think it was actually the New York loss. With that loss, Shanghai now have the longest losing streak in professional sports history. They beat out the 76ers. So now they are, I think, 0-30, something like that.
Yep.
And it's
Losingest
still going.
team in
Like they
sports.
could extend this back further.
Yeah, and I mean it's kind of become one of those things that's probably never reached again,
Yeah.
Um And you look at the teams on that list, and some of them are pretty old. Like the Bucks' first 2 years in football, I think, is like number 3. So yeah, it's kind of hard to get to the top of that list.
Yep. But then we got Seoul taking a 4-0 over Houston. And I feel like in the past couple of stages, Houston, even when they've not looked their best, they have somehow usually pulled out a clutch win against Seoul. And they just got completely outclassed this time.
I don't know if I agree with that. I've seen Seoul as kind of like Houston is considered to be like the Achilles heel of London. London can never beat them. but I always saw Seoul as kind of like Houston's kryptonite. Um, they've won against Seoul before, but it's been skin of their teeth. 5 map things that came down to that third and final round. In that last control map, and it came down to the wire and just a few percentage difference on a win. I mean, sometimes it was 199%. So I mean, it's been really close wins for them again. I didn't see this particular game, so I don't know what Houston's meltdown was that caused them to lose 4-0. But yeah, Seoul's always kind of been there as that thorn in the side for Houston.
Yeah. So definitely a pretty heartbreaking end to the stage for Houston.
Maybe like you said, dude, Linkster's just really getting burnt out.
I don't know if he's necessarily getting burnt out. I think he's just kind of feeling down on his play. He just needs kind of a mental reset. Not necessarily time off, but just he needs some good performances to kind of get his confidence back, I think.
What he should do is go into quick play and just like rape base for a week and get his confidence back up that he's just an amazing player,
And then our last regular match of the week, we got LAV taking the 5-map win over Philadelphia Fusion.
Didn't see this one coming at all.
I mean, I feel like it was either team's game to win. Certainly as evidenced by the scoreline. I think LAV just had better communication and just kind of played a little bit cleaner.
Yeah, and I mean, Valiant was in a better position for the playoffs, so I think they had the more incentive, but just really kind of expected Philadelphia to do better,
Yep. All right, and then we get into the stage 3 playoffs for that 125 grand. So yet again, we had a new format. So this time it was top 4 teams. And correct me if I'm wrong, Riggs, but Boston as the number 1 seed got to pick who they played.
Yeah, and I mean, they kind of right from shocked everybody when they picked the Gladiators. I mean, their wins over the Valiant, I really kind of thought they would pick the Valiant. Especially since the Gladiators to me were kind of the wild card that could have been the upset surprise. But yeah, no, they ballsed up, picked the Gladiators. I mean, about the only thing else that they could have done was just get New York out of the way right from the off.
Yeah. Yeah,
But I don't think they could
I
pick New York
don't
because New
think
York was
that would
number
have
2.
been a good choice. But I mean, both semifinals were a quick 3-0, so clearly New York and Boston were the teams that deserved to get to the finals. And Boston, they finished the 10-0. They finished undefeated for the stage. They're on like a 12 match win streak or something like that. Longest in the Overwatch League, and they lost the finals 3-0 to New York. And they beat New York in the regular season.
Well, yeah, during the stage they did beat New York, but like, I don't know if Sabiobi ate his Wheaties or slugged some awesome new energy drink, performance enhancing stuff. I don't, like his level of tracer play during this match was insane.
Yeah,
like,
he had some hard
at
carry
the
moments
end of
for
it
sure.
when he said, "I am the best tracer in the world." Like, yeah, there's really not much contest that people could say to disprove it right now.
Well, and everybody in the audience laughed because they know it's true. Like, you don't even have to say it. Everybody knows it.
Yeah.
I did see a thing. This is kind of off topic, but apparently Sabiobi's new thing in his off time is he streams Overwatch duos with his wife. And they do like wombo combos all the time, and they play together and just kind of wreck face as like this husband and wife murder duo.
Oh, that's awesome.
So good stuff. But yeah, congrats to New York, back-to-back stage champs, and they've made it into every stage finals so far. I mean, we undisputed best team in the league, and they're just further cementing that.
Yeah, and at this point they're almost a lock for, the end of season playoff. I think a couple more wins in stage 4, and
Yeah,
they're
it might.
pretty much in there without any competition.
I think by like the end of week 2, like if they keep winning, they should be a lock if they haven't already. So certainly interesting. But let's take a look at the playoff picture while you mention it. So these are the current standings for the entire season. Um, not too many surprises. I think compared to stage 2, Boston has moved up a couple of spots because they are on that massive win streak, and deservedly so. So now our
Well,
top.
definitely, like the last stage with London hurt them bad, and Boston just had an incredible stage. So, yeah, it's kind of shocking to me to see him up there on number 2 on the
Yeah.
list. I mean,
I,
cool to have
I think it is certainly
North
telling,
American
though.
team up there.
I think it's certainly telling, though, that Boston had such a good stage. Excuse me. And London had such a bad stage, and they're still only 2 games apart.
But what I think is crazy is like, okay, it's not only apparent right from the off. New York has 5 more wins, than Boston. But when you look at the game point differential, they're almost 40 game points ahead of Boston.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
And the next highest, which is London's game points, they're a solid 30 points over them. It's insane how far ahead New York is right now.
Yeah. And that's why I'm like, I wonder. I guess they're not quite clinched a playoff spot, but it's got to be coming within the first week or 2 of stage 4. I mean, realistically, the top 8 teams all have at least a positive map differential and a positive record. It's only San Francisco, Dallas, Florida, and Shanghai that don't. And I mean, if you look at 5th place through like 8th place, these 4 teams are only 2 games apart. So I feel like that's where it's going to get really bloody, because I think it's what is it, the top 6 teams that go to playoffs?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
Half
so
the league's going, so.
LAV and Philadelphia are holding on to those last 2 spots right now, with Seoul only 1 game ahead of them. But I think we could see a lot of fluctuation depending on how stage 4 goes.
Well, I mean, I hate to say it, no offense, San Francisco. I don't think you guys are anywhere in that conversation for the playoffs. But yeah, definitely those top 8 teams, any of those teams can make it at this point. It is conceivable to see any of those teams there. They're all amazing teams. They're doing really well right now. They're all working out their issues pretty quickly at this point. I think they have all kind of centered them down and figured them out. Still waiting to see Mendo play, but
oh my god, I might just have a stroke if Mendo ever gets put in. I keep having this image in my head of it's like match point in like playoff semifinals or something, and Houston has to win or they're eliminated, and all of a sudden like the lights dim in the arena and smoke fills the crowd, and Mendo just like walks in levitating like to the rescue. But no, so yeah, I mean, as hard as I've been on Houston, they're still in the race. They're still in the hunt, with LA Gladiators, with Valiant, with Fusion. So really, if you're anywhere from like 4th place to 8th place, things are still very much up in the air.
Well, I would even go so far as to say the 3rd place spots to the 8th place spots are going to be in huge swing by the end of this stage, or this upcoming stage.
And the crazy part is, once you make it into playoffs, I mean, sure, seeding can make your life a lot easier or harder, but once you're in and you've been seeded, the entire rest of the season doesn't matter. It's almost like a fresh slate, and you can only go up from there. So hopefully these teams really give it their all in stage 4, and hopefully for us as fans, we can just really see some top-notch Overwatch.
Hell yeah. I mean, I expect to see it, especially in the playoffs, but I think stage 4 is just going to be an out brawl,
Yep.
just grudge match style. All these teams are just going everything all in to get those playoffs at the end of this.
Now, obviously, we still have a whole stage left to go, but I'm gonna go ahead and ask you, Riggs, what are your top 6 going to be? What is this playoff picture going to look like for you?
I honestly, I don't see the Valiant going. I do see Philadelphia ending up there. I just don't know if it's going to be Houston or LAG. Both teams are really hot. Both teams, I think if Houston figures out its tracer problems solidly, because, okay, yeah, Jake's getting better. We've seen this. But
he's up against the clock, man.
He's up against clock, and he's up against the best tracers in the world. And that's just the God honest truth. And no matter how you do the list, you're still at the bottom, Jake. Like, you're getting better and you're improving, and that's true, but you're still at the bottom of the list, and there's a big gap between you and the next dude. So something needs to be figured out with the tracer problem. Gladiators, I just really need to figure out their consistency. If they figure out their consistency and they can put it together and just keep it rolling, I mean, they were almost the first team to go undefeated in a stage during stage 2 when they got the Fisher pickup.
Yep.
But they need to figure out that consistency. It hasn't always been there. They've been a real roller coaster of a team. And if they get that together, they're going to be in the playoffs. But it's going to come down to whichever one of those two teams figures out that problem and locks it in.
I mean, consistency is just the name of the game for all these teams. That's been the thing holding back so many of them. With that said, so you got LAV out and either Houston or LAG in. Do you see that? Do you see that top 4 staying the same?
No. They're all going to go to the playoffs. I see London falling to a 5. And I think Seoul's going to come in at number 6. But
so who are you saying? So give me your top Philly, 6 in order.
I think it's going to go New York, Boston, Philly.
Bold.
Yeah, I think that they got some statements to make, and I think that you're going to see the aggressive style that they've been playing get hyped and boosted to like another level that we're not expecting in stage 4, and just be this hyper aggressive style that none of us have ever comprehended. Because it's the only thing that they can really do is just be even that much more aggressive, that much more harder, and that much more faster, up the tempo and just throw teams off.
You heard it here first, folks. Philly Fusion is going to be beyond comprehension.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. But then I think in the 4 spot, you're going to have London, or like I said, maybe Seoul. No, I think Seoul will be in the 6th place spot. Like I said, I don't know. Right now I'm leaning more towards the Gladiators are going to be in that spot because I think Houston has the bigger problem.
Mm-hmm.
But again, Houston could shock me. First couple of weeks, I could be changing that opinion. But yeah, then I think London continues its kind of dive a bit in stage 4. I think they'll probably level out by the end of the stage, make it into the playoffs, but it's going to be a steep fall from where they were at the end of like stage 2.
All righty. Well, I will give you my top 6 since I know you're dying to hear this. I think it's going to be New York 1, Boston 2. As far as the rest of them, I can see where you're coming from with ranking London and Seoul lower. However, I have seen way too many esports with Koreans competing to ever doubt Korean video game skills. So I have to put that top 4 exactly as it is. New York, Boston, London, Seoul. I think that Philly is going to move up to 5th. And I'm just going to root for the home team and say Houston's going to take 6th. I think both LA teams are going to fall out. I don't think Houston can overtake Philly, especially not if they play them next stage. I think Philly has kind of been a kryptonite for Houston this whole season. And I think that Boston, along with the Korean teams, are just going to round out the top for sure. But yeah, let's get into some news. Or maybe plays of the week, I think is next. Yes, yeah, indeed. So this is all you, man. You want to set this up?
So, okay, if anybody watched the finals games on stage 4, you obviously saw the Boston Gladiator head off. Junkertown was really awesome. In fact, I almost had like 3 plays of the week just come out of Junkertown. We had some insane Widow play by mistakes. Surefour had some incredible shots. There were epic stalls and all kinds of stuff coming out of Junkertown. Gladiator's first push, I mean, A and B were like textbook. But ultimately it came down to the control point for me during that. It's kind of where, in my opinion, Boston put its foot down and said, nah, screw you guys. This isn't going to go 5 games, anything else like that. This is going to be over quick. This is going to be how it is. Stryker during Junkertown kind of did like a full hold save, causing the Gladiators to fall short of point C. Somehow managed to come in from the side, kill the Orisa, take down the Roadhog, drop the Zenyatta. It was insane, but it wasn't even that hold that was awesome to me. It was on this control point. They're playing on ruins, and it's hard to kill people from far away with Tracer. Her shots get so spread out once you get on like 10 meters with her that it's really hard to be accurate and kill people. And the Winston had jumped away from Stryker. Didn't even matter. He just popped it up, killed Fisher on his way out. And the setup spot where Widow goes, that's where he is. And he shot him from the point to there, and I was like impressed by that. But then he blinks around the corner, places a pulse bomb, finishes out that map, and it's beautiful.
I think my favorite part is Uber's reaction. All right,
I think ultimately just watching it explains it all. It was beautiful.
All right, let's take a look.
Textbook Stryker.
But here's Stryker. That pulse bomb is going to be very important. Fisher might have his name on it right now, but Fisher didn't get away. Mistakes hit him in the head. Fisher didn't turn away. He didn't do a butt dive. And so he copped a full damage headshot from Mistakes. And that's a huge pulse bomb. Stryker can't ask for any more than that.
Good shit. That was sick.
I mean, it's pretty rare to get a pulse bomb on a Widow because you just don't generally want to use it on a Widow because she's kind of squishy. She should be picked off by the other Widow, but that's just like disrespect right there of like, look, I'm going to finish this right here and now. Screw you, pulse bomb, and I'm taking Mercy with me.
I actually also had a Tracer play for my play of the week. But this was from the Shanghai New York match that I was talking about earlier. Shanghai's attacking on Route 66 point B, and they're like right up against the point barrier. They got like a meter left to go. And essentially they've killed almost all of New York. And Sabiolbi does Sabiolbi things. And he basically goes in and kills everybody like 1v3. And the only person left alive is Otto. And so Otto has to hold the point basically, and try and just keep New York off of it. And he goes in by himself up against Sabiolbi 1v1 on Tracer, and then Pine joins. And so you got the best Tracer in the world and one of New York Excel's best sharpshooters in the world. And Otto not only kills Pine, but then he kills Sabiolbi and stalls long enough for his whole team to get back to the point. And it was just a really cool kind of clutch Sabiolbi Tracer, then clutch Otto Tracer, and it was really cool to watch.
Sabiolbi is there as well. Does get 2 with the pulse bomb and kills Gregory.
What?
It's just a one-on-one with Otto and Sabiolbi now.
Oh, and this is about the point B. Can they do it? Pine comes in at the last moment. Otto trying to win this duel to get it there, but Sabiolbi right there. Otto does get the kill on the Pine, but now Meko returns. Otto got Sabiolbi too, fighting the 1v2, and he gets both kills. They don't complete B, but man, what an effort by Otto.
Just a cool little Tracer duel. I thought that was awesome.
Well, he needs to keep that footage because it's not very often people can say I killed Pine and SBB back to back.
And 1v2 no less.
Yeah.
So I know we did the Tracer ranking last episode.
Put it on your trophy case, Otto.
Put it on your resume, man. I killed SBB. But I mean, you talk about these tracer rankings, and Otto doesn't even enter the conversation, and it's like, well, maybe he should.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of, like I said, when we were doing the tracer rankings, it wasn't any disrespect to people like Otto or Snillo even or any of those guys. I just really didn't think that they had the time on tracer to compare to the other guys. Like their stats were a little skewed because they've only played a few games opposed to a butt ton. So, I kind of only really picked the guys that were, diehard, have been playing tracer since stage one and kind of pulled my pull from there. So it wasn't anything personal. I just, it was a time thing for me.
Yeah. Yep. But let's get into some news. So, as everybody knows, the Hanzo rework launched this week. But before we get into that, we'll kind of touch on Symmetra has been probably one of the most controversial heroes, at least in terms of her kit, since the game launched. She was a launch hero, and she's been through at least, I think, 2 reworks already. And they're talking about doing another rework. They are going to do another rework. And
Well, she's been busted for a while. And I mean, let's be real. She's the one character in Overwatch League that has yet to see any playtime. Even Torb's been played a bit. May gets pulled out from time to time.
now, what makes you say she's busted, though?
She's labeled as a support. She has absolutely no. She's obviously a defense character, and she's categorized wrong. I mean, maybe in her original release she had some heals, and there was a reason why she was support.
She had some shielding.
Not support. She has some shielding, yeah. And
No, I mean like her original release. She had a shield on demand.
I'm just saying, like, I don't really see a reason why she was ever considered a support. She's obviously a defensive character, so there's the biggest problem right there is that you've got this character in a pool she doesn't belong in.
But does her classification matter for anything other than like solo queue role assignment?
I don't think that her turrets have ever really worked great, in my opinion. I mean, they're very easy to see. They're very easy to kill.
It's the car wash, man. You gotta set up the car wash.
If they're set up in the car wash style, like, yes, they can just wreck face and melt teams.
Point A, Numbani, hallway.
But all it takes is that one Winston coming in and just
one Ferro Rocket takes out all 6 turrets.
Yeah, or a Ferro Rocket or something like that, a Junkrat mine, and it's over, and then Symmetra's virtually worth. So I'm super excited about the Symmetra rework because they're finally going to take her and make her freaking awesome. And I know for a fact, like, she is going to end up being a pivotal, like, especially I think on control point character, maybe even the capture point ones.
All right, well let's talk about what the rework actually is first. So if you guys didn't see the tweets, this is all subject to change, of course, but what they're tinkering with right now, the big change is that her turret count is going down, but the recharge rate is going up. So you won't be able to hold as many turrets, but they'll recharge faster. But more importantly, they're going to be throwable. They're going to be like a Junkrat grenade. So you can just like throw a turret into the back line.
Because rather than like, oh shit, I got to stop, figure out where I want to put this thing. It's like, no, I'm on the run. I'm being chased down. I can toss a couple turrets in that bush and one over in that bush and just keep running. And that's going to be super effective for, she finally has some getaways now. And I like that. But I don't even think that that's the coolest rework. I think that's just kind of the minor sprinkles on top of the brownie or cupcake or whatever.
Well, they're moving her teleporter ult to a basic ability now, and I think it only teleports one person, but it's on like a lower cooldown.
Yeah, and I think that's going to help be a little bit more effective too, because the teleporter as an ult, like, it wasn't nearly as used as the shields were, which is also getting reworked. But we'll get into that in a minute. But you put it down and the payload or whatever, and and then your team walks through that thinking they're going to be like right where they need to be, and they're back in BFE and nowhere near the payload, the team, or anything. So having this temporary teleporter is going to get one player to you quickly. I think it's going to be a lot.
Yeah. And I think smart Symmetra players will find good use out of that. But the
Definitely.
super interesting thing is her ultimate now is being changed to this sort of shield wall. It's going to be super tall, super wide, and it's going to be a 9,000 hit point shield. And
I was just going to say, and super impenetrable.
and I think Reinhardt's shield is like what, 1,500?
No, Reinhardt's is 2,000.
2,000.
Reinhardt's
Okay.
is 2,000.
So we're talking
put
like
that into perspective.
5 Reinhardt shields.
Essentially, yeah, 4.5 Reinhardt shields. So we all know how hard it is to tear down a Reinhardt shield, and if you don't have a Bastion or a Junkrat or a Pharah just trying to melt it down with damage, you're not getting through it. So imagine that on freaking steroids, and it encompasses the entire capture point or whatever. So that whole little blue line that you're standing in to capture, all of that gets shielded. Every little open space.
Yep.
So like, let's say you're trying to throw it up on like Eichenwald around the payload to keep them from capturing it. It's going to wall off all those openings to the payload, front, back,
now, it's
side.
It's just a wall, everything. Right? It's not like a perimeter.
It is essentially, no, it's an entire like perimeter thing. It'll fill up every hole. Yes.
That sounds broken.
It is an insanely broken thing. It's gonna have to be nerfed for sure. But it is gonna be super cool to screw with people for the few weeks while they let it go on the PTR. So
and how long is it gonna last? Is it just last till it's broken?
I think it lasts like 10 or 15 seconds or something like that. It's not a long time, and it's either till it's broken or that time lapses. It's pretty short, but it is an insane, like, if you have like 2 people on the point, your team's on their way, and you're getting pushed by 6, you could throw that up, and stop a lot of damage coming in on you and that other player. So that's going to be super helpful. I think, like you said, it's going to really come down to smart play and when to use it. But I think you're going to see her being... She's also getting moved to a defense character, which is finally where she belongs. And I think you're going to see her being used in defense points a lot in Overwatch League going forward. I mean, she's not going to be in Stage 4. I doubt she's even going to be in the playoffs with this. This will probably be a Season 2 thing. But I think she's going to be a major player in Season 2.
The rework won't even come to the PTR until like after the season's over. So this is way in the future.
So this is definitely a Season 2 thing. But again, I think she's going to be a huge heavy hitter and almost part of the meta on defense, moving forward in Season 2.
We'll see. But then we got the much more immediate change. We got the Hanzo rework finally out this week. Not a total rework like Symmetra's. Mainly, it's the scatter arrow removal for his new ability Storm Arrows, which is sort of like a rapid fire mode. And then he has his little bunny hop, his little dash.
Yeah. Well, how do you feel about the scatter shot? I'll get into my feelings in a second. I don't really play Hanzo, but I've seen it in effect now, and I've got some mixed feelings.
I think it's very cheap. I feel like if you can one-shot a 500 HP tank by aiming at their feet with a scatter arrow, it's just kind of a no-skill ability, and I think the biggest thing is it just feels very cheap to die to. And I think it kind of defeats the original purpose, which was shooting kind of an arrow around corners and kind of clearing out like an interior. I think the great thing that Blizzard did with this rework is it's not an overall nerf to Hanzo, because the really good players, scatter arrow wasn't that effective against them anyways. I think what Blizzard did here is they raised the skill floor required to be decent at Hanzo, but they also raised his skill ceiling. So if you're one of these amazing GM players, Hanzo just got even better.
See, I kind of feel the opposite. Again, the last few days been playing some just to kind of really get a feel for the Hanzo change. I Hanzo is one of those, like, I'll pick him last, like there's so many other characters I'll pick for Hanzo. Um, but I watched the guy throw his dragon out today, followed up with that quick fire shot, and just everything that he missed with the dragon, just pop, 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 it was dead. Team wipe. And I was like, oh my God, they just turned Hanzo into a no skill. Anybody can pick this guy up and just destroy crap character. Yeah, he's going to be used in Overwatch League more often now because he's busted now. You took something that you probably should have just decreased the damage on what was already there. Like, instead of it doing 500, maybe just it does 250. That's it. It does 250. Half the damage. It could kill a normal player. It could kill any other, like,
the new
DPS
ability has more
character.
counterplay though.
But it just seems really kind of cheap. It kind of seems like they did the opposite of what they did with Junkrat. They turned Junkrat into a skill character. You got to aim those mines better. You're not going to be able to just, I kind of sort of got it in the area. He's going to.
Calling Junkrat a skill character.
I didn't say he's a skill character.
Is a very spicy opinion.
I said more of a skill character. I didn't say he was a skill character.
I mean,
I said that they pushed him a little more in that direction.
I love Junkrat, so I'm not going to argue with you.
By asking you to actually aim those mines, okay? But they went the other way with Hanzo. And
here's the thing. When he activates storm arrows...
His hitbox is the size of a truck to begin with, and now you can just pump 5 arrows into the team. Like,
but it's not a one-shot like Scatter Arrow was. So now the counterplay is you put up a shield or you get out of line of sight. With Scatter Arrow, there is no counterplay.
I don't know. It seems too fast. I mean, at least with, McCree's Fan the Hammer, which is kind of, to me, exactly the same thing. It was like Hanzo got a Fan the Hammer. At least with McCree's, like, the recoil from it, you're probably not going to hit maybe more than 2 people with that if you're lucky. And let's be realistic. You're really only using Fan the Hammer to take down a tank because you already got him in the head once, but you didn't kill him. And you need the little bit of extra damage, so you're just going to unload on him and take him down. He's a big target. It doesn't matter if the recoil sends it all over the place. You're going to land 2 or 3 shots on him and finish him off. But no, with Hanzo, it's 5 fully drawn arrows. Yes, you could literally, with a skilled player, put those on heads and just take out an entire team with that one ability.
Yeah.
So he's busted now.
Well, that's what I'm saying is if you're really good with Hanzo, if you're one of these high skill tier players, he's really deadly. So we'll have to keep an eye on kind of how that shakes out. And we'll get into this a little bit later, but the nice thing is, well, nice for the pros anyways, not so much for the viewers, is new Hanzo will not be in stage 4. But we'll get into that a little bit later.
The patch did come late in stage 3, so I'm not too surprised that it's not in stage 4.
But finals did get announced, so we have the information about that. It's going to be July 27th and 28th at Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. Prices have not been confirmed for the general public sale on the 18th, but based on the pre-sale, they'll probably be around 60 to 100, whether you're looking for stands or floor passes. The format is going to be, I believe in New York, it's only going to be the top 2 teams, and it's going to be best of 3, best of 5 series. So they're going to play 3 best of 5s, and the first one to win 2 of them takes the whole thing.
And that's a lot of Overwatch.
That's a lot of Overwatch.
That's a lot of Overwatch.
So yeah, that's about 6 hours. But I think it's very interesting that they picked New York. Certainly nice for those of us on the East Coast to get catered to for a change. But they could have made it kind of a neutral site like Washington DC or something. Cause it's
New York's a little far for me.
well, not
I'm on the
only,
East Coast and I'd love to go, but I gotta go all the way up the damn coast to get to New York. You know?
well, not only that, but I think it's interesting because NYXL is pretty much a lock to at least make the playoffs. I would say if out of all the teams, they have obviously the best chance to get to the finals. And it's interesting that Blizzard is like, oh, New York is kind of a shoo-in to make the finals. Let's have it on their home turf, so to speak.
I don't know if it's necessarily that or just New York is kind of probably next to LA and Hollywood, kind of the next
Sure.
biggest.
Yeah, I get that.
entertainment city, and
They're not going to have it in Sheboygan, Wisconsin.
You know, just I think more than anything it was just let's change it up. Let's not do it in LA. Everything else has been in LA. Let's pick a different venue. A little disappointed they couldn't book the Garden, but you know, Barclays Center is pretty cool. Pretty impressed. So I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I wish I could go. I'm not going to be there, obviously, but I'm still going to be watching it like everybody else.
Yep. It is looking like I will be there though, so I'll bring you guys some live interviews with SBB. I'll get a Korean translator. We'll do it right.
I may have to send you up my jersey to get signed by the Florida Mayhem for me, man.
Yeah, you know, I have a feeling Florida might be in the stands with me watching the other teams play.
I would think they would be there. You know? If nothing else, they would be there to support the league, support the fans. You know, I mean, it's like the Super Bowl. You know, you look around the Super Bowl, and yeah, there's a lot of two teams that are playing jerseys. But then you've got all those other people that are just wearing whatever random team because it's a Super Bowl and you can. You know, there's going to be, you know, I expect this to be Boston and New York playing at the Barclays Center at the end. I'm not going to lie. So I would expect to see a lot of uprising and,
I mean,
you know, XL
if you want to
jerseys,
talk about a hype matchup.
Yeah.
And plus
Serious,
Boston and New York, they just have that's
history,
the sports rivalry.
Yeah, the rivalry between Boston and New York and in sports general is insane.
Yep.
But yeah, I would expect to see a lot of those too, but you're probably going to see every other team represented there too. You know, I mean, you're going to have your Shock fans and Mayhem fans and Houston fans in the stands. I wouldn't be surprised to see, you know, Houston Superfan girl, you know, in the stands at the Barclays Center.
Yeah.
Wouldn't shock me at all, you know, see her front row.
It would definitely be cool if some of the other pro players were there, but we'll see. But yeah, keep an eye out for this Friday, May 18th, guys. Tickets will go on sale. So,
but if nothing else, I'm going to have to send you my Pine jersey to get signed by Pine because I know he'll
I don't think I'm just gonna have like all access to the locker rooms, but
no, they do like the signing afterwards. They do it every match. From all the people I've talked to have been to live matches and stuff. Teams always come out, meet fans, do signings, all that kind of stuff afterwards.
I wonder if like they kick you out if it's like, hey Pine, can you like sign my drawers, man? These are my lucky boxers.
I think that would probably be like a first, you know. My lucky boxers, bro.
And then if you're just like, no, this is normal in America. I don't know. But yeah, man, we'll see what happens.
It'll be weird, dude.
It's gonna be a good show. I'm definitely interested to see what kind of fanfare Blizzard puts on.
I'm sure it'll be epic like everything else, man.
Yeah. But oh man, I just realized if like Papa Jeff and like Chris Metzen and shit are there, that's who I would want to meet is Chris Metzen.
I'm sure they're gonna be there, dude.
Yeah, but
Jeff Kaplan shit is gonna miss the Overwatch League stage or grand finals, man.
Like, you know, I always wonder if it's like Jeff Kaplan.
I would be willing to put money on it right now that he does the intro that day over Milk.
Well, it's always funny to me because it's like you have this like kind-hearted soul, this Papa Jeff persona, and then it's like I wonder if in real life Jeff Kaplan is like this dude in like a gold satin and rhinestone suit jacket, like smoking pimp cigars and slapping chicks around and bring me the 80-year-old scotch, damn it.
I don't know why everybody villainizes Jeff Kaplan. I see him as a nice guy, and he seems to genuinely listen to the fans.
Have
And try
you ever seen his old forum posts from EverQuest? So
No.
he was the guild leader for a progression, like a really top ranked
I'm
guild
not surprised, dude. I
called
played
Legacy
that game
of Steel.
alongside him.
His name in
I
the
think
game.
I actually remember Legacy of Steel. Actually,
his name in the game was Tiggle.
that sounds oddly familiar.
It's a thinker.
Oh my god.
Never mind. I'll explain it to you when you're older. But he has this famous forum rant where he just like reams out the EverQuest developers. Then he got hired by Blizzard. But good times. Anyways, getting off topic. So let's move into the spicy drama of late. So I did a crappy job putting the slide together, but there's a lot of information on here. But basically, March 20th patch, Brigitte comes out. She's busted. They did some tweaks to her. May 3rd, she had the shield bash nerf, went from a 90-degree stun arc to a 60-degree stun arc. I think
I don't think that was her only nerf. They definitely did stuff.
I feel like they did. I just couldn't find it in the patch notes.
No, I don't think it's in the patch notes, but I think it's definitely obvious that some of her damage has been nerfed. The Mace of the Face does not do nearly as much as it was originally doing. I mean, you were one-shotting pretty much anybody that, I mean, with the exception of like tanks, that you got an open shot on with that Mace when you were doing the extended bash thingy. Now, I think it only does like 150 damage, so I mean, it might get a Tracer or, you know, one of the lower health characters, but it's not going to get a soldier. It's not going to get a Reaper. It's not going to get any tanks. You know, and that was there are some more nerfs to her than just the shield bash. I don't think they were ever mentioned in the notes, but she definitely got a little bit more than just that.
Well, point being, it was pretty obvious pretty quickly that she was pretty broken, and they did some tweaks to her. And, you know, that's part of the reason why she wasn't immediately included in the competitive season, for those of us playing at home. In the meantime, while these tweaks were going on, we had the Hanzo rework, we had the Genji deflect nerf, the Junkrat grenade nerf that Riggs mentioned earlier, the Tracer pulse bomb nerf, Lucio got buffed, Diva got nerfed, all these changes and tweaks. And so now we're playing, I think the most recent patch is like May 10th or something like that. Stage 4 is 5 weeks long. It's over a month long, and the entire stage is going to be played on the March 20th patch. So not only by the end of the stage, it's going to be June 17th. So not only are they going to be playing on a 3-month-old patch that's not even close to what's on the live servers, but they're missing all of these changes, but they're also getting release Brigitte that just one-shots people left and right. Now, obviously, you can't have a patch go out and immediately go to the pros. If there's any undiscovered bugs, if there's any game-breaking issues, that's going to screw up competitive results, and you cannot have that in a professional league. However, when Brigitte is so broken that she is changed inside of 48 hours, and you decide to just disregard that for an entire month and a half, like that to me is not an ideal situation.
Well, we saw the same thing happen in stage 2 with Sombra. You know, Sombra, she was kind of broken in the sense that, like, you know, she would charge her ult really quick with those ult pack hacks or the health pack hacks and stuff. So I mean, before stage 2 started, they nerfed Sombra, and, you know, took that away from her. Gave her a couple other buffs in other places, made her hacks longer and stuff. And I mean, I think really balanced that character out. But that patch didn't take place in Overwatch until stage 3. So all of stage 2 for like you said, like another month and a half after the patch came out, in Overwatch League, we were still seeing this busted Sombra, you know, like you said, I think it's right. You know, if they've got plenty of time, like in that particular instance, they had almost 2.5 weeks to let the pros get settled in with the Sombra, patch update, and they could have just introduced it in stage 2. They should have done this here. Brigitte got it was really quickly realized that way overpowered. And even after the initial nerf, 48 hours after her release, she was still overpowered. But she wasn't as badly overpowered as she was upon her initial release,
Right.
So, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me why you wouldn't at least take the 48-hour patch. Tone her down like a little bit. I think
It's
that's
a difference
might
of
be,
2 days. Like,
and that 48-hour patch might have been the one where her damage really decreased too. So it might have been in those patch notes, not in the most recent one. But I mean, she's had to take on a couple nerfs now just to kind of become normal and become like a regular hero like everybody else, who's good in some areas and flawed in others. But yeah, they I don't know. They should be running the current patch, or at least as close to it as they possibly can.
well, and this is actually exactly what I was going to say is I do agree with Monty in that the people calling for it to be on the current live patch, like immediately, I don't think that's the way to go because there's always the chance that the patch isn't going to be as well vetted without that kind of crowdsourced kind of quality assurance through just
No, and I
play.
get that. We could run into problems. There could
But
be
you can
bugs.
certainly have one that's more recent than 3 months ago.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Either don't make the stages as long for a locked-in patch, or make the patch a lot more recent for what you're going to play on.
I mean, look at it. Brigitte really came out at the end of stage 2. It's like Moira was out long before even preseason started. She should have been in preseason. She shouldn't have been introduced to, Overwatch League at stage 2. She should have, if nothing else, she should have been there in stage 1. But she needed nerfs that she never got, and they still brought her in stage 2. I don't know. I just can't fathom for the life of me why they keep waiting so damn long to bring these things in. Like you said, there are patches, there are current things that could bring it up to speed. Moira should have been in stage 1. Brigitte probably should have been introduced by stage 3 because she at least had some nerfs. She had been brought down to a playable level. I mean, and yeah, we should definitely be seeing Hanzo's rework in stage 4. Genji's deflect, Junkrat, all that stuff. There's no reason why none of that.
Well, and I'm kind of on the fence with the Hanzo rework because it did just come out last week. And so
Well, it came out officially in the game last week. It's been in the PTR for the last 6. It happened shortly after the Sombra.
Well, and this is where Blizzard needs a little more clarity, right? They need to have very clear-cut rules published publicly for everyone to read of what is the patch cutoff date, what is the patch requirements in terms of size or changes or whatever to override that. What is kind of the tempo gonna be so that at least nobody is caught by surprise and at least the fans know what to expect. However, forgetting all of this talk of what's fair, health of the game, whatever, I do think it bears mentioning that playing at the end of the stage on a 3-month-old patch is inevitably going to be kind of discouraging for some viewers. Especially, like you said, Hanzo's rework has been on the PTR for weeks. And so if we get to the end of stage 4 and I'm a Hanzo main and I've been playing the new Hanzo for 4 months, it's going to be really boring for me to watch Overwatch League with an ability that doesn't even exist anymore.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I think that should be that they should not be playing the current patch, but they should be playing the one right before that. Obviously, that one's not busted anymore. It's been fixed and reworked. So all of that worked out fine. Play on that patch.
Just
5 patches passed.
2 patches removed, like the patch before the current one or something like that.
Yeah. Play there, not 5 back for some reason.
I understand Blizzard polish is a thing, and we all love and appreciate it. But I keep bringing up other esports because I think it keeps being relevant that Blizzard needs to learn from those that came before them. If other esport leagues can exist with changing a professional league patch every 2 weeks, certainly Blizzard can do it with their level of polish, or at least get closer than what they are now.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I've actually talked to some players, like, not the professional players about this, but I did talk to some players in the game just to kind of get their feel about how they felt about whether Brigida would be a big factor coming into stage 4 or not. And it seems a lot mixed. A lot of players seem to think that she's going to get overlooked. She's going to be kind of like Moira, where you think she's this overpowered character and she's going to get played all the time, and nobody's going to play her in the end. Like maybe she'll make a handful of appearances by the end of the stage. I think that's personally bullshit. A lot of other players say the same thing. That there's already been professionals who have publicly, whether it be in their streams or on YouTube or on Twitter and stuff like that, have already expressed their interest in playing Brigida in Overwatch League. So there is already like huge support for her to be played. I think she's going to be overplayed. I really think she's going to take out that second support and second tank role and open up room for 3 DPS combinations. I think that she's that overpowered right now, especially coming in on this particular patch. She's going to be that busted that, yes, she can easily just come in, sway the game with her healing, her shielding, and everything else that she does, add damage like Jonak on steroids, and
I mean,
yeah, we're going to see all these crazy 3 DPS combinations with her.
There is something to be said for, yes, at least both teams can run the Brigida. Like, she's not exclusive. There's not a draft. However, I feel like what's going to end up happening is that both teams' strategies are just going to be, how do we play around the Brigida? Like, the whole game's going to revolve around her because she's just that much of an outlier.
I definitely agree with that. Strategies are definitely going to have to be forced around Brigida.
And that just
where is she going? Where is she
great.
setting up? All those kinds of things are going to start to factor in how teams are moving. And yeah, I think honestly that might make for some boring Overwatch in stage 4 because rather than seeing the cool Widow duels and the Tracer duels and the crazy tactics that you see out of the tanks and all these things, we're just going to see nothing but these behind the view of Brigida crap because she's just wrecking everything in front of her. And I kind of think that the computer, I mean, I don't really know how they pick whose perspective that they end up showing, whether it's computer generated or whatever. But,
no, it's guys picking.
Oh, I was going to say, if it's just based off of like kills and, stat output or whatever, I think it's just going to be focused on Brigida like the entire time. There's not going to be anything going to do.
Now you have like GM players that work for Blizzard that are essentially cameramen.
Right on.
But yeah,
I mean, I'm just hoping that they don't focus on her because that'll be a super boring stage if it's just nothing but watching Brigida.
I don't think they will. I think through all of these 3 stages so far, they seem to favor like the flankers, the Tracers, the Genjis. I don't really see that changing a whole bunch. But, maybe when all the flankers are dead because Brigida killed them, that might change things.
But what really sucks is, okay, the Lucio buff's not in play anyway, but he did get a really good buff.
Yeah.
And I mean,
especially with the wall ride.
Yeah, and he was already super effective, but now he's even crazy more effective. But you bring Brigida in, and I think honestly in stage 4, you're going to see just this insane lack of. Stage 3 opened it up where Lucio became a little bit more viable because of the Mercy nerf and stuff. But I think honestly, because Brigida is basically Lucio on steroids, you're not going to see Lucio at all. He's going to be like Symmetra. He's taking a seat on the bench. You're not going to get played at all. Get comfy next to Torbjorn over there, buddy. Like,
well, we'll see. I mean, I just hope that if anything, we avoid worst case scenario of Blizzard pushes ahead with this plan. We're going to do the March 20th patch. And then week 1, it's glaringly obvious that Brigida is just like game breaking. And then it's, do we just like throw a whole stage down the toilet, or does Blizzard have to do an emergency patch mid stage?
I mean, if they do an emergency patch stage, it'll be unprecedented. They've never done it before.
And that just plays more into Blizzard playing this entire season fast and loose. Like they just keep making up the rules as they go.
They need to do it now. This is one of those things where I really hope this, what is it, couple days when stage 4 here starts up, that they're going to see how bad it truly is.
Yep.
That if one team is running Brigida and the other it's not, is doomed. She's anti-losing. I think you said it the best last week when you said anti-losing.
Yep, for sure, man.
Yeah, dude. Please do a patch. Just force them onto the current Brigida patch at least. If you're not gonna put in the rest.
At least the 48-hour hotfix.
Yeah, if nothing else.
But hopefully fans understand why they can't just be brought up to the live patch. It's got to be a little bit more stable than that. But anyways, moving right along. So this was something kind of last minute I threw in. I thought it would be kind of an interesting talking point. And this is kind of, again, drawing parallels to other esports. You tend to see in most esports kind of a regional skill gap. So, for example, in StarCraft 2, there's a definite skill gap and sort of upper tier for Korean players compared to the rest of the players. Or like in CSGO, the all-European teams are usually really, really good compared to the other teams. And I'm kind of curious, Riggs, your thoughts, and also kind of what the standings reflect in terms of what does the kind of nationality breakdown on these teams look like? And does that correlate / maybe even cause some of these differences in the rankings? And so right here, when we're looking at top 4, New York, London, and Seoul are the only 3 teams in the league that are all Korean, and they are 3 out of the top 4 teams. Now, I don't know if that necessarily means that there is a default skill gap, but it certainly seems to correlate that way.
Well, I mean, we sort of kind of had this discussion before. I think it was early during stage 1 when New York and London and Seoul started to pull ahead, and we started to talk about the idea that, maybe there is a skill gap. Maybe there's something to entire Korean teams, so on, so on, so on. But, I kind of stand by what I said there, and I'm glad that Boston's kind of proving this. Boston's probably, I mean, next to maybe the Gladiators and the Valiant, they've got a great mix of Korean and European and American. I think that that's doing well for them, and I think it's proof that there's not a skill gap so much as a difference in play style. I think that the way Korean players play, it's a lot faster than a lot of other players play. I mean, if you have ever watched XQC's stream and Pine stream, it's a great example. A lot of the time during their stream, they'll switch over, they'll start playing Aim Hero, and just practicing their aiming. When you watch XQC do it, he's kind of like real slowly following the dots around as they appear, and taking them out one at a time as he gets around to them. The way Pine does it is he has his dots centered. He has his crosshair centered. And when that dot, pops up, he very quickly moves up and back to that center point. And it looks like one clean motion. And it's just click, 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 moving all around and always moving back to that center point. It's much faster than the way XQC does it. And it's almost twice the amount of work, but it's clean. and his score is like 3 times as high as XQC's.
Hmm. That's a really interesting point.
They just have this insanely fast, great work ethic play style that you don't necessarily see on the European and American fronts, and you definitely don't see it in the Chinese fronts. I hate to say that, dude, but it's definitely true. The Chinese play style kind of seems to be like the kindergarten group of the 4 play styles, you know, like they definitely seem to be kind of more straightforward. I don't think they really, when you look at the Chinese leagues, they don't have the same kind of strategies that you see in Korea or you see in the European teams, or the American teams. It's just more kind of like upfront. It's almost kind of like watching quick play Overwatch, you know, where it's, oh, we have this objective, we're just going to run in and do it. Where
So do you think it's a communication issue?
no, I don't even think it's communication. Again, I think it's play style. You know, I think that the Korean players are just a lot more methodical at what they do. You know, they're willing to think outside the box with strategies, instead of, one of the things that I really think holds the European players back, and this is common with every team with, you know, majoritively heavy European players. Watch the Fusion, watch Florida, watch Dallas Fuel, you know, even occasionally Boston. They will resort to the same tactics over and over and over again. And that's kind of their downfall, because those other teams go, okay, wait, setting up here, we know exactly what, you know, like, I think it took Florida like 4 Anubis maps to start setting up in a different spot. They always set up on those ledges right there, you know, past the initial choke, but everybody knew they were going to be there. You know, it wasn't any kind of a surprise. Whereas the Korean players would set up top above the point one day, and the next point they're playing the choke up front, and the next day they're playing off to the right. You know,
So you
they're
think it's not
constantly throwing
necessarily
different strategies. They're thinking outside the box, and they're evolving what they're doing around their opponent. I think that gives them a bit of an edge, but it's not a skill gap. It's
do you think it's
just
not necessarily a difference in skill as much as it is a difference in flexibility?
I like I said, I think it's really a difference in work ethic. You know, it's like, I know a lot of these, every single one of these players worked very hard. I just think that the Korean players have worked a little harder. You know, they're willing to sit down and not just play and get better, but really develop strategies, really adapt those strategies to each opponent, you know, and know when to use them and when to maybe go with this one. Instead of having maybe a handful of strategies, they've got a textbook of them, dude. Yeah.
Now, I have not paid as much attention to the Korean team's sort of social media content. I know that a lot of teams have a lot of like behind the scenes kind of series. I don't know if the Korean teams have something like that, but I would certainly be interested to see kind of a peek into their training regimen, how they scrim, and especially how they kind of devise strategies, because I would like to see if it's something significantly different.
Well, I mean, you know, I always go back to Florida because that's my team, but yeah, that's why they brought in Ryder. Is that, you know, not only did they add a couple Korean players with Saya player, an awesome guy, but they added a Korean coach because he brought the Korean strategy insight that they needed, something that was outside the box, a change of pace, you know, because you've got this mainly European team with an American coach that had almost no Korean influence stage 3, you know. So they finally got that in there, and I think one of the biggest and most important areas that they did it in was bringing in Ryder as a coach, you know, and having this Korean strategies all of a sudden put into their play style,
Well,
Korean work ethics, and I think it's benefiting the team a lot.
well, and I guess that's my big question is why is it that more Korean equals more success?
Again, just I really think it boils down to better work ethic. You
So
know,
the new coach comes in for Florida and he's what, making them scrim longer hours, making them work differently? making
making
them
them
work
try
on
new strategies,
fundamentals.
making them, think outside the box a little bit, play a little harder, work together more as a team. They're coming together better. That's really why I think Florida has a definite edge over Dallas right now, is because they are together as a team. They're a unit. They're like, those top teams up there. Every team above those bottom three teams right now plays together. And that is like the difference maker as to why they're in those top 8 and everyone else is in those bottom. um, well, shoot, even San Francisco, those top 9 teams they're playing as a team. Florida has finally got on board. They're playing as a team. Dallas is not playing as a team. Shanghai is really kind of still playing on the backs of carriers. It originally started as Undead, and his whole thing blew up, and now they're being carried by Gaguri, and occasionally Ado, and what is the tank that's been doing some carrying? Not the other tank, Fearless, I think, is their main tank. He's been doing some carrying for him too, but you don't get to wins with carries. You get there as a team.
Yep.
And I think that's what separates New York from everybody else, is the teamwork that New York has. Almost every single one of those guys is the best at what they do. And the fact that they can go out there and pull it together, do it as a team day in, day out, every week. That's what really separates New York from everybody else. It's a great work ethic. I think that's installed in them, from their culture. Koreans are very hard workers. Every friend I've ever known that's Korean, that's just the way they're brought up. They do really well in school. They go on to have great lives. They work very hard to get wherever they go. So I think they have a great work ethic. I think they have great communication, great teamwork ability. I think that's what separates them from everyone.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, just something that always kind of is in the back of my head whenever I see multi inter-region play. So yeah, certainly really interesting to look at.
You definitely see the European team fall back on strategies, and the Americans tend to fall back to comfort. It's like, oh, the crap's hitting the fan. I've got to get back on this character because he's the one I feel comfortable on. Well, I do it. I know you do it. We all do it. That's the American play style. Oh, crap, it's over. I'm going to switch back to Soldier. You're going to switch back to like Junkrat or Reaper.
Well, and I think that one of the things that American and somewhat European teams, but mainly American teams tend to do is they tend to say, okay, what are the Korean teams doing that we're not doing? What strategies are they pulling out? We should do those strategies. And they try and kind of copy this sort of top tier meta. And sometimes it kind of works, but it's kind of like you can't beat someone at their own game. They're going to play it better than you, and they're going to play it with more experience. And I feel like a lot of the time, American teams that try to cop these international strategies, they tend to kind of get humbled a little bit, and then they kind of maybe lose confidence and get it back when they kind of fall back on, like you said, their comfort picks. When they're like, you know what? These teams are winning because they're playing to their identity. Maybe we should play to ours.
Well, and I mean, I hate to use your team as the example, but I mean, the Outlaws kind of show it. You remember back in stage 1 and 2, they would run the pirate ship meta on Junkertown a lot. And Junkertown was like that was their map for sure, dude. They owned Junkertown for sure. But when that pirate ship would start to fall apart, the first thing they would do, Jake's back to Junkrat, Linkster's back on Widow. You've got, Muma's switching off of Orisa back to Winston. They're going back to those comfortable characters. They're switching back to, their kind of, well, I guess they more ran like an anti-dive than a dive, even with the Winston and stuff. But, I mean, they would really just ditch that whole strategy. It's like, okay, well, we gave it a shot, but now let's go back to, and I think, like I said, that that's just the way the American teams work. I mean, I don't blame them. Like I said, it's what I do too. I mean, I try to do better on these other characters, but when it starts to get dicey and it's falling apart and it's not working, I switch back to the characters I'm comfortable. The ones I know I can go in there and make a bit of a difference.
Yep. Yeah,
Rather than
for
hope
sure.
and dream I'm gonna, pop off and do something cool.
Indeed. Well, let's see. I think, are getting into, stage 4, week 1. Got just enough time to do some predictions.
Whew, good times.
All righty. So, kicking it off, we got LA Gladiators going up against San Francisco Shock. What do you got, Riggs?
Who's playing Brigida? Honestly, I think the Gladiators has got this all day. They're just a solid team. I love watching them. I mean, they're really coming together. It's not just the Fisher show anymore. Surfer stepping up. I'm loving it. Hydration's even pulling his weight. Love seeing the Doomfist out of that guy. So I think with the versatility that the Gladiators have, they'll be able to put something interesting together and just handle the Shock.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a Gladiators win, no question. Soul taking on Valiant. Probably a little bit closer.
I would say this is definitely like one of those it could go either way maps.
And this is one that Valiant really wants to win to keep securing that playoff spot.
But so does the Dynasty, and I kind of think the Dynasty feels like they need it more. I think that they feel like they're on rockier ground than the Valiant does. The Valiant's been surging in the last stage and a half, and Soul's been kind of
a confidence
fading
booster.
out of it. Yeah, I think this will be that game. It'll go in Soul's favor, but it could go either way. I think if you look at the past, they're pretty even when they're matched up against each other as far as wins and losses against each other.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Soul as well. I think they're gonna pull it out, but I think it'll definitely be a good match to watch. So then we got Dallas taking on Shanghai. I almost wish that this was later in the stage so that I could more confidently say that Shanghai is going to win, because I don't know. It's tough to call.
With the clusterfuck that is Dallas right now, this is the only and one chance that I see that Shanghai has a chance to get an early footing on a win in the stage. So they need to take this opportunity. They've been playing pretty well, and they've had a couple weeks off to hone that in and even work Brigida into it. I think they'll probably do that, where I kind of think Dallas – I don't know if I see Dallas playing Brigida yet. You know what I mean?
I think they would be foolish not to.
I think they would be foolish not to, but I think that the composition of their team, the players – I don't know if they'll. I think that they'll go with those characters. I think they're going to go with Brigida as much. I think that this is going to be Shanghai's first win.
All right, bold
I'm
words.
rooting for you, Shanghai. Don't let me down. This will be the last time I ever pick your name. I swear to God, if you guys lose to Dallas.
Man. I'll go Shanghai. I'll give it to them. I hope that they can pull it out.
Like I said, this is my last chance on Shanghai. I mean, they can't beat Dallas.
I feel like they will have a better chance beating Dallas than Florida. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. I don't think there's any chance they're going to beat Florida. Florida looks at Shanghai as that we got this win. They know they got that win.
Yep.
They've owned Shanghai all season. So Dallas, on the other hand, has just been falling apart, and we still don't know if Effect's back. There's been no word whatsoever if Effect's back yet or not. So
yep.
Without Effect, I can't pick Fuel.
Well, we'll see what kind of effect his absence has on the match.
Sorry, we need some sound effects, man.
Anyways, moving on to Thursday. We got Boston taking on Philly. I love Philly. I hope they can pull it out. I don't think they're going to. I think it's going to be a Boston show all day.
Yeah, I was going to say, I love Philly. They're super aggressive. I think Boston's more aggressive right now. And mistakes. Oh my God, mistakes. He even made Surefour look like a baby on Widow. I mean, dude's awesome. So yeah, Boston
Who knew
and New
Russians would be good
York,
with
man.
guns, man?
Boston and New York, bro. Like they're unbeatable teams.
Well, speaking of which, they're going to play your team, New York,
Yeah,
playing Florida.
I know. And I'm sorry, Florida, but I have to play it smart right now and pick New York.
I'm going to pick New York as well. However, I'm going to ask you, so New York beats Florida, but does Saya beat Pine?
Yeah,
You think?
I already know he does. No offense to Pine. I love Pine. Yeah, Saya players in that league with and Fleta, they're just kind of in a league of their. I think that Florida does come out with a win or two in this. It might even go 5-map, but ultimately it goes New York's way.
Yeah. So then we got Houston taking on London to round out the first half of the week.
Don't let me down, Houston. Picking you guys. I want to see Mendo.
Really. I want to, because London has lost to Houston more than any other team combined. I think Houston is half of London's losses.
And that's part of the reason I'm saying don't let me down, Houston, because you've been so good against London. I think London's going to continue to slip and fall. I've already said that this in the last couple hours. Yeah, just please figure this stage out, have it set, have your strategies in place. Birdring, he's back. I honestly think he's been a little bit slower though. I don't know if it's me. I haven't seen him pop off the way he used to. Not since he's returned from the injury yet. Maybe he was taking it easy,
Well, maybe Jake can keep up with him then.
But I think that's London's downfall. I don't think Birdring's quite there. Lack of a head coach.
I will give Houston the benefit of the doubt. I want them to win. I just feel like because they're my team, they're gonna find a way to screw it up. They're gonna clutch defeat from the jaws of victory. If you know what I mean.
How do you think I feel, man? Same boat with Florida.
But anyways,
I love them to death, and
hopefully they can get off to a good start on the stage and start working their way back into that playoff picture. But let's check out the back half of the week. We got Dallas losing tremendously to LA Gladiators.
Yeah, I think we both agree on that one.
And
no offense, dude, but
Houston losing,
always been
crashing and burning against Boston.
Yeah.
Seoul against San Francisco. Can SF pull out the upset?
Though, like, San Francisco's kind of been one of those thorn in the sides for Seoul, and they have pulled out 5-game near freaking wins. I think they could pull it off. I'll go out on a limb, pick San Francisco for this one.
I think it could happen. I don't think it's going to happen. So I'm going to stick with Seoul. But I'll be looking for some magic from Architect. Architect versus Fleta. Could be fun to watch. Okay.
I think it's going to boil down to Jaehong if he's playing Monkey still.
You just want to keep saying Jaehong.
Dude, I love it, man.
There's
been so many different Jaehong, names so far this season because of all the characters he's played, but I love Jaehong the best.
Anyways, we got Philly taking on Florida. How do you feel about this one?
I want to say that this is going to be time where Florida finally gets it back against Philly, but I mean, it always comes so close and it never happens. I have to play it smart and pick Philly.
Yeah,
In fact, I think I'll even go out on a limb and say that bold prediction that there's a tactical crouch or two from Carpe in this one.
Oh, you know it. But yeah, I think Philly's gonna tactical crouch their way to the win on this one, unfortunately. But even when Florida loses, I love watching Saya play Widow. Like, he just picks dudes apart. It's crazy.
Just the whole team, dude. I love all.
I just want to see Swoosh back.
Yeah, I would love to see some Swoosh play again, though. I think he's, sat the bench long enough, and Awesome Guy's been doing a good job, but Swoosh has his moments where he can be more aggressive than Awesome Guy.
He's like
And
90% of the personality of that team.
I think that they need to definitely let him get back on. Let him loose again. Let Swoosh get crazy. We need those intros.
Yep. Then we got Shanghai fighting an uphill battle against LAV. I don't see him
Yeah.
pulling it out.
They'll win against Dallas. They won't win against Los Angeles.
I could see him maybe taking a map. I mean, they took a map off of NYXL.
Yeah, I could see him
and,
taking a
and
map.
maybe this is one of those matches where it's like, hey, let's just get it to a map 5. But I don't see them taking the win.
No, if anything, I see the Dallas game going to a map, for them to get that win. But
yeah,
there's no way in hell they push LAV to a map. Bunny's on fire right now, and Soon's getting better because of it. So no, no.
Well, rounding out the week, we have a rematch of Stage 1 playoffs and a potential season playoffs preview with London taking on New York.
So are you ready for just a 2-hour beating by the New York? Well, I don't want to call him the bully. I mean, I've always kind of seen London as the bully, because they're the one team that goes out there, we're the best, we're so damn good, all you guys suck. But no, New York, go out there, be the hero.
I always
Hand
saw,
London grass, please.
I always
Stuff it
saw
down their
NYXL as the New York Stan Lees, because his
Excelsior!
catchphrase is Excelsior, and the dude just has like so much swag, like it just drips off of him.
Well, Excelsior is the motto of the New York City, so that's where he got that from. That, and, he grew up in New York. That's where Stanley picked up Excelsior.
Really? Okay, see, I didn't know that.
New York City motto, dude.
But anywho, I think it's going to be New York taking it. It should be a good match, though.
Yeah, it'll definitely be good, but it's going to be New York all day long, hopefully. Give them the beatdown of a lifetime.
Yep. But anywho, I think we are just about out of time here. Anything you wanted to throw in before we call it?
No, I think we pretty much summed it up, man.
I mean, it's going to be certainly an exciting start to the stage, and buckle in, guys, and just wait for Brigitte to make her Overwatch League debut, because it is going to be crazy one way or the other. So from all of us here at Let's Break It Down, thank you guys for tuning in. Have an awesome week. My name is Amicus. You can find me on Twitter and Twitch at Magic of Limbo. And you can find the podcast at Owl Break It Down. Riggs, where can people find you at?
You can find me on Twitter at WhenIWillie2. You can find me in the games at Riggs number 11720. Come play with me. Love hanging out. I haven't really been streaming so much, so I'm not going to really throw my stream out there. But yeah, definitely throw your feedback to the podcast here. You can email us at owlbreakitdown@gmail.com, or like he said, hit us up on Twitter, owlbreakdown. We'd love to hear from you guys, man. Send us your input, your feedback, topics you want to hear us talk about. We're open to it.
Yes, please. Topics are awesome.
Topics.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Give us a like, give us a follow, give us a share. You can watch the VOD here on my Twitch channel. You can catch us on YouTube, Podomatic, iTunes, or wherever your podcast service of choice is. But until next time, this has been Let's Break It Down. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll catch you later.
See ya.